I don't have many complaints when it comes to Last Epoch. For 40 bucks, I've already put 120 plus hours into the game. I've hardly played half the classes, and from the ones I have played, I've hardly used half their skills. The game is just fun to pick a class, mess with the skill tree, and go erase some mobs. You can go much, much deeper with it, of course. There's layers of complexity, or you can just keep it simple and still have a good time. But one of the most glaring flaws in Last Epoch is that it feels floaty. Yeah, floaty. That's how people describe it, and honestly, it's pretty accurate. It's a difficult thing to truly describe in detail. The feel of the impact isn't quite there with a lot of skills. The connection between the animation and the damage and the result of that just doesn't feel heavy. Personally, it doesn't bother me too much, as I am way more about game systems and mechanics and hunting for interesting loot and having challenging fights. But to say it isn't an issue would just be ignorance. I've started paying attention to it more after people have commented on my videos how they love the game but hate the float. I've recently been cleaning screens with a cold Rune Master, and it's certainly noticeable. None of my build's main skills really have that weight to them. I'm destroying enemies and I'm doing a ton of damage, but the skills still feel fluffy. And I believe it's a combination of not only the spell effects, but also the sound design. Here I am using Lightning Blast, which I've converted to cold damage, Elemental Nova, which is the AoE blast, and Runic Invocation to cast Blizzard. Also, my teleport casts 3 Elemental Novas at once. Just by looking at the spell effects, you can see how clean it all looks. There isn't a whole lot of grit or density to the effects. The ice is there, it's expanding, but it all looks too transparent or too poofy or something, I don't know. Maybe if it sort of pushed the earth around a bit like some of the other skills do, or had some darker elements to the spell, it would look a little more harsh and bulky. Lightning Blast also looks and feels like you're just shooting some air freshener in someone's face. The sound of the spell just lacks any power. Let's experiment for a minute. If we close our eyes and just listen to Lightning Blast and Elemental Nova, do they sound powerful and devastating? No, I'd argue these don't sound too scary or intimidating at all. Every mastery that I've played so far seems to have at least a few of these weak or timid feeling abilities, which is a shame because their functionality is incredibly well done. There are some skills, however, that I think look satisfying and are fun to use. Forward Strike is probably one of my favorites. You leap up a bit, slam the ground, some shit explodes, the ground shakes and crumbles, there's an explosion, it just feels good. It also has this sort of rumbly, hearty sound to it that really sticks the impact. Some other abilities that I think are satisfying and perfectly fine how they are include things like Volcanic Orb, Black Hole, Judgment, Puncture, and Umbral Blades. Smelter's Wrath is another that comes close to feeling great. You can hear it rumble as you charge it, it looks nice, and the end result is suitable. Again, I wish there was a little more grit, a little bit more displacement on the screen, more power in the sound. The skills themselves are one thing, how they hit and interact with their target is another. A lot of the melee attacks, for example, just seem to go through the enemies without any sort of impact or resistance. You swing like a madman, but it doesn't feel like a connection was made. And lastly, how your character themselves move around the environment can also look a little walk-on-water-ish. This is something I hardly really notice or care about. I sort of just blankly stare at the screen and kill stuff in a daze. But again, when you really stop to examine what's going on, it becomes apparent. The footsteps don't quite stick, I don't know, it's fine when I'm using skills and stuff. It's when you're just running where it seems kind of floaty again. Some environments seem to make it more obvious than others, but honestly, it's very low on my list of cares. I know for some people it's the definition of the floatiness that they see in Last Epoch, but it's minor for me. I have no idea how difficult this stuff is to create. I'm sure it isn't easy. Maybe it's the timing of the hits and animations that really hammer it home and sell it. I feel like some other games almost sort of cut out a frame or something when impact is made. It's like it just pauses for one frame when the hit is actually landed, and then that somehow increases the realism tenfold. Diablo 4, with its incredible budget, managed to make a combat system that really feels strong overall. Diablo 4's Barbarian Whirlwind, for example, looked and felt like it had mass, momentum, force. I'd show you a video of it right now, but the rest of the game is just so depressingly bad that I don't even want to install it. But hey, they're slowly fixing it, so props to them. And despite that, I am unbiased and will 100% admit that Diablo 4 overall looks more realistic, more detailed, and a lot of its skills have actual weight to them. Overall, the floatiness doesn't bother me much, but finding that perfect mixture of animation speed, visual effects, crisp sound design, iframes, or whatever else they need seems to be rather difficult. Last Epoch has improved their animations dramatically over the years, and thankfully, in multiple different interviews, the developers at 11th Hour Games have stated that they are aware of it. They are trying to improve the look and feel of the combat, and even admitted they are studying and learning from their competitors like Diablo 4. This is the way to go. These are guys that are doing a fantastic job as it is. There's no shame in admitting a rival game does something better and you're trying to learn from it and improve. I mean, some developers can't even learn from their own games, so it's a win when they admit something is bad and work to fix it. But for now, we deal with the float, and I still highly recommend Last Epoch if you're an ARPG fan. It's just plain old fun. Anyway, thanks for watching another quick video. Let me know what you think of Last Epoch's combat. Take care, everybody.